We'll call the meeting to order for a special legislative session of the Wicomico County Council for July 30th, 2024. It's legislative session 2024-17. Those that like to stand and join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do. Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, for we forgive those who trespass.
Evil, thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I would note that we have Councilwoman Shani Shields is on speakerphone. She couldn't be in here physically today, but she has agreed to join us by phone. Shani, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good to have you. Mr. Benson, I'll open to you.
President, County Council, we're here this morning on resolution number 90-2024. The County Council previously adopted resolution number 70-2024 to amend the charter of Wicomico County to transition to a council manager form of government beginning December 1st, 2026. This resolution included the entire charter, showing the specific charter sections to be amended as well as those unchanged. Article 2, Sections 201 and 201A are currently involved in a voting rights challenge in the United States District Court for Maryland. Case number 1:23-CV-03325-MJM. The litigating parties in that suit have agreed to revise the resolution and include references to the charter sections not being, to exclude references to the charter sections not being amended, including sections 201 and 201A. No other substantial changes have been made to resolution 70-2024 in this modification. Resolution number 90-2024 only shows the sections of the charter that have been proposed, that have proposed amendments that relate to the change of the government structure. And that's the purpose of this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 90-2024. Second. Motion second. I'd also like to note we have Mr. Kevin Karpinski, legal counsel for Wicomico County Council, on the Zoom call meeting. Mr. Karpinski, good morning.
Good morning.
Any discussion from council? As I think Mr. Benson has shared with us, this is simply part of a legal correction that we're trying to make in order to make sure that we're following the proper procedures. Any discussion from the council members? Yes, Josh.
Just questions for clarity on this. So what we're see before us in resolution 90-2024, there's various changes. Of course, certain areas have been struck, certain areas been added, certain pieces. This is, for my own understanding and for the public's, to make sure that this is to fit with assuming that when does this take place, I guess, is the first piece of this. Is there a trigger to if the changes to the, if the question that is on the ballot to change our governance structure, then this kicks in, or is this before that? To what degree? Or so I guess more clarity on that kind of thing, I guess.
Just by way of clarification, this is identical for all practical purposes to the resolution adopted by the council in 70-2024. The difference here is that the decision was made when 70-2024 was put forward to basically reprint the entire county charter for ease of understanding. The purpose of this amendment is to remove any sections that were not being amended. and specifically to remove Section 201 and Section 201A, which are the two sections that are at issue in the litigation. So the amended ordinance or amended resolution you have in front of you is identical to the original resolution adopted in 70-2024, except it excludes any sections not being changed. This ordinance, this resolution, if adopted today, would then be the resolution that would be advertised and voted on in the in the November election, and if it were adopted, it would go into effect in December of 2026.
Mr. Benson, the specific area of this that I guess everyone should be paying attention to is simply what has been highlighted in yellow. That is the only corrections being made, correct?
We changed the recitals, which is the highlighted section, to explain why the resolution is being amended. The other changes are Section 101 of the charter was not being changed. Section 101 was in the original 70-2024 resolution. Since it's not being changed, it's been removed from this resolution. Mm-hmm. Any resolution that was not being changed has been removed from this resolution. The only thing that remains are the specific charter sections that have amendments in them.
Right. Which have already been voted on prior to.
You all voted on this. They were adopted. It's the same exact. From my perspective, this does not make any substantive change. In the litigation, the parties requested that for clarification purposes, that there be a specific change to clarify that sections 201 and 201A are not being affected by this resolution. And since we were going to remove sections 201 and 201A, it just made sense to remove any section that was not being changed. So what you have in front of you are only those sections of the charter that would be changed if the voters in November were to enact this resolution.
Thank you. Any other questions?
John?
Yes, Janie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, what he's talking about. Is that what I was talking about when I talked to you the other evening?
Yes.
Okay, and it's going to be, it's not going to be in there? So does that satisfy those people?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. When the county form of government changed to the executive from council back in 2006, of course, there was a lot of changes made, to the charter due to the fact that we had a new form of government coming in with a county executive. And then over the years, up until probably a year or two ago, maybe 3 years ago, we would run into different issues in the charter that did not apply or did not really apply like they should have, because we had a executive form of government instead of a council form of government. And it was always a very simple process of passing a resolution or legislation to correct that. So, changing the county form of government, changing the form of government in the county is a big step, but it's not such a complicated step that it can't be rectified if you run into an issue later. So that's my comment.
Comments or questions?
I'll just try to make sure I'm on the same page here. We're not doing anything else. We're just talking about 201 and 201A.
No, there are other sections that have been removed. Those other sections had no changes. So specifically, we removed any section that was not changed to include sections 201 and 201A. Neither of those were being changed.
Right.
In the original 70-24 resolution, and by eliminating them, we've clarified that they're not being changed.
And obviously, everything else had already been voted on when we did the same day as the budget. So
This is identical in every other respect.
this is identical, and we're just making a few minor adjustments is what we're...
To clarify specifically that any sections not being changed have been removed. They will remain the same if it's adopted. If the voters vote, those sections don't change in the charter.
Questions?
Last thing to point out, I guess, I'm not trying to, obviously, I don't want to wordsmith this, and this is not the time to do so. I'm all good with the yellow highlighted area and continue to move forward with that piece, making sure that that part is not included in this. But there are multiple pieces in here that we probably should fix at a future date. There's a couple pieces in here that it mentions, like section 402 mentions the county commissioners, and there's some other pieces in here that I think we would at a future date should probably fix that or wordsmith that.
Good point.
But
Good point.
yeah. And for the record, I obviously still don't believe we should be moving in that direction, but I'm happy to amend this to make sure it gets right to the voters and that it's set if it does move forward.
Anybody else with questions? Mr. Karpinski, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I do not. I think Mr. Benson's accurately reflected why this amendment's being put forward. It's just to clarify, to make sure that the voters understand what sections are going to be affected and that there are other sections that are not at issue with regard to this resolution.
Thank you very much. And all those in favor of Resolution 90-2024, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 90-2024 passes unanimously. All right. This time, are there any public comments? We're entertaining public comments. If you'd like to come to the podium, please state your name, your county of residence, and your concern.
Good morning, Mike Goldberg, Wicomico County. Once again, our county executive has unilaterally entered into a highly controversial MOU. This MOU provides Eastern Shore Undercover, or ESU, with exclusive access to encrypted Sheriff's Office communications for dissemination to the public in real time, thus potentially compromising operational security. The executive claims that she entered into this MOU in the interest of transparency. What an astonishing pronouncement. If she's so interested in transparency, then why was this MOU signed without the knowledge of the county council? Why was it signed without the knowledge of Sheriff Lewis and while he is away on vacation? Have any legitimate media outlets been provided with the same access? This is just one more example of this executive acting unilaterally, bypassing any legislative process and acting without the knowledge or consent of the sheriff, who is responsible for the lives and safety of his officers. Ms. Giordano claims that providing real-time police communications is necessary to comply with the Public Information Act requirements. Hogwash. Then why does she regularly drag her feet and obstruct citizens and the council from obtaining information through PIA requests? To suggest that real-time information is necessary to adhere to the PIA requirements is patently false. The executive claimed that personal information will not be released and that ESU may delay posting of information by 15 to 30 minutes. Her record shows that she will not enforce the terms of the contract. Don't forget her failure to enforce the Safari at the Quarry contract. Among other unenforced contractual violations, we have yet to see the required financial statement, community impact statement, or a check for the county's non-existent share of net profits. And why would we entrust a non-government entity with the ability to compromise officer safety? Just as with the event promoter for Safari at the Quarry, the proprietor of ESU is a personal friend of the county executive and is also a significant campaign contributor and de facto minister of propaganda. Posting real-time information about police activity has been the core income-generating service of ESU. With encryption, that ability was severely reduced. So, to salvage ESU's Facebook page, it transitioned to being the Julie Giordano broadcast system. In exchange for the exclusive right to receive and disseminate encrypted information, the county executive has acted to revive ESU so it can continue to purvey misinformation and render shamelessly biased political support. It is hard to imagine a more corrupt deal. It is time to end this kind of nonsense. I urge every county citizen to vote for the Question A Charter Amendment and eliminate the misfeasance chronically perpetrated by past and future county executives, and particularly the current one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. Any other public comments?
Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you. My name is Monica Brooks, and I am a Wicomico County resident and also president of Wicomico County AACP. We actually also have issue with this new MOU, specifically with we also have issue with this MOU, specifically with the way in which it came about. While Eastern Shore Undercover, and I'm not saying, we've not had a huge issue with Eastern Shore Undercover, just as citizens. I'm going to say as an individual citizen, not for Wicomico County in AACP, in disseminating information to everyone. However, this particular issue has given us pause because we have concerns about privacy, we have concerns about lack of transparency, and especially how this came about when there was nothing put out to bid, when this was not disseminated to the public. We are also going to be requesting to get information from the county as to the types of who did they reach out to see who may be available to go into such a contract, if that would be something that's viable to do. And specifically, knowing that there are several other media outlets, media companies here that could do the same thing, where they called, where they given consideration. 3 of them are people of color. And so we want to know what the county is doing as far as its business, period, with entities of color, with businesses of color, that diversity is actually in the mix of this for women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and how these issues are happening. It is not right for backdoor deals to be done when others can be given equal opportunity to do the same, but not in such a great cloud of cover. We have an issue with that. We have an issue with this cloak of darkness, and everyone deserves an opportunity to engage with business with the county, as well as the city and the state. I just had a meeting with our comptroller on last Wednesday, specifically about how our percentages are low for business with the state. And so now that has given me, we're 16%, 17%. The goal is 29% for minority-owned businesses or disadvantaged businesses to do business with the state, and the goal is 29%, right? So we talked about some ways that can change. But here, in our county, in our local cities, we're going to be looking into seeing what those numbers look like as well. And I believe we have a right to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooks. Any other public comments? Seeing none, council comments. Council comment?
You want me to go? Mrs. Brooks's question about how did it happen? You give a $3,500 donation to the county executive. That's how it happens. Okay? That's all my comment.
Other comments?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Hope everybody's having a good summer, and we're weeding through the pits of quicksand as they get put in front of us.
Comments?
I just want to remind everyone to love one another. Things are getting crazy out in the world nationally and worldwide, and you know, as I've got eyes, we can see, and I just want to remind everyone that we need to keep our eyes open and remind us that we all should love one another. Thank you.
As a presidential comments, I'd only like to add that we had the passing of Ms. Charlotte Adkins in Powellville. She was a great leader in that community, did an excellent job with the auxiliary for the Powellville Fire Department, and will certainly be missed. They are dedicating the community hall to her, which I think is an excellent idea, and we're glad to see that happening for her and her family. So just wanted to share that with everybody. Entertain a motion from council to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Karpinski. Thank you, Mr.